What is the most powerful political force in the nation? Is it a president with a stack of executive orders?
No.
Is it a powerful judiciary?
No.
Is it a well-funded politician? No, it's none of those things. The most powerful force in the nation is the collective voice of the individual American voter. Our voices don't always come together in a powerful and meaningful way, but when they do, watch out. I've seen that power in action. I've been a part of that power. In fact, in 2010, we saw a powerful wave form, and those who wrote it are still around, and those who tried to stop it got crushed. It's facts, it's information, it's truth, presented in a meaningful and compelling and inspirational way that creates these waves. And sometimes it's a lack of those things that create the waves. When President Obama took office, he promised to have the most transparent administration in US history. From Benghazi and Fast and Furious to the NSA and the IRS, we've been given ample evidence that transparency and accountability is not necessarily on his priority list. Government transparency is incredibly important because it provides accountability to our government. Government transparency is incredibly important to me personally. I chair the Utah Transparency Advisory Board. When government is not constrained by transparency, it grows out of control. It results in tyranny. The Dalai Lama said a lack of transparency results in distrust and a deep insecurity. Why do people distrust their government? In Utah, we take transparency very seriously. We do a good job at it. We're not perfect. We could definitely do better. But in 2008, we formed a transparency website where all of our state agencies put their financial information, their revenues, their expenditures, their staff salaries. And people can go on and they can look and see what their taxpayer money is being spent for. And an interesting thing happened when people came kicking and screaming to that transparency website. They didn't want to do it. The cities, the counties, the towns, the agencies, nobody wanted to put their information on this website. And the very first year it was available, it showed that Utah spent $294,000 the year before on bottled water. And the next year, an amazing thing happened. They only spent $85,000 on bottled water. So when there's transparency, there's a natural ability, there's a natural process that happens. Greater efficiency happens. It's a sentinel effect. When people know that their decisions and their outcomes are going to be measured, they think twice or three times about what they do. And there's more accountability there. Also, one of the things that we've been doing in the state of Utah that's very important to me is we've been shining a light on just how dependent our state, our conservative, fiscally responsible, well-managed state is on federal money. A lot of people don't realize that 40% of the money that's spent in the state of Utah is federal money. I wonder if every state knows how much of their money is federal money. And what is going to happen when that money dries up? When we don't get as much money as we've been getting forever, when we don't get the money that we've been promised for Medicaid expansion, for education, for transportation, what happens when the federal government shuts down? What happens to the poor, the sick, the young, the old, the disabled, the most vulnerable among us, who rely heavily on programs that are funded with federal money in our states? So last year, I sponsored a bill that passed, and we created the Federal Funds Commission. And the job of the Federal Funds Commission is to take an in-depth look at the federal money that we're so dependent on in the state and to try to figure out how we can be more self-reliant and come up with a contingency plan. What happens if that money dwindles or disappears? We live on a fault line here in Utah. We could have an earthquake at any moment. And so we always practice drills. We practice earthquake drills. We have food storage. We talk about emergency preparedness. So one of the things that we are going to be doing this year is creating a statewide enterprise risk management plan for the state of Utah. Financial food storage, if you will. What are we going to do? How are we going to react? And how are we going to be proactively engaged and ready for any dwindling or disappearance of our federal money that we depend on? The states are the last hope, the final frontier, the last stand against an ever-increasing, ever-growing, ever-encroaching federal government. It's in the states that change can be made. I love being in the state legislature because I can make a difference here. I can affect change here. And when government grows, it feeds on freedom. Freedom is the fuel that government gobbles up as it expands. So we have a choice to make because we can't have big government and big freedom. We have to choose between big government and limited freedom or limited government and lots of freedom. In 2010, the power of the American people came together in an unstoppable wave. And the swells are already forming for another wave in 2014. After signing the Declaration of Independence in bold, large handwriting, John Hancock said, "There, His Majesty can now read my name without glasses, and he can double the price on my head." That is the kind of bold courage that we need to take with us as we remind the federal government that they are not the most powerful political force in the nation. We are. You are. It's been a pleasure to be here today. I'm very thankful to represent Utah's 7th District in the Utah State Senate. My name is Deidre Henderson. Thank you very much.